In today's world, people tell women straight up, if you don't have a boyfriend, you must be lonely. But Islam flips that. Loneliness isn't shame, it's protection. Sometimes Allah blocks those haram doors just to guard your heart until the right halal door opens. And that's what we're talking about. Because nowadays, people think love means you need someone texting you at midnight, someone to show off on Instagram. But honestly, living without that nonsense isn't weakness. It's strength. It's dignity. If you've ever sat there thinking, maybe I'm left behind, maybe waiting makes me less, nah. That thought itself is a test. And the answer? Allah is with you even if no one else is. And that's where we need to pause and really understand something. Not getting a proposal yet, not being in a relationship, not having someone's name next to yours on a bio, this is not rejection. This is not you're less than. In Islam, delay is not humiliation. Delay is often a test. Allah tells us clearly, we test you with good and evil as trial. For some people, the test is wealth. They drown in money until they forget Allah. For others, it's sickness, or heartbreak, or fame. And for many women today, the test is patience in marriage. The silence of the phone, the wedding invites that aren't theirs, the aunties asking, so when is your turn? But tests aren't punishments. Tests are signs of worth. Think about it. When a teacher gives the hardest exam, they don't give it to the weakest student. They give it to the ones they believe can carry it. Allah doesn't test you with delay because you're forgotten. He tests you because He knows you can hold your dignity when others throw it away. And it's not easy, I know. Sometimes you scroll and see everyone moving on. New couples, new rings, new captions with Qur'an quotes under photos that don't match Qur'an values. And Shaitan whispers, look, you're missing out. Nobody wants you. Maybe lower your standards. But pause. If your worth was measured by how many proposals you got, then Khadija Raziallahu Anha, before marrying the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam, or Maryam Alayhi Salam, who was honored without ever being married, would be seen as less. Yet look at how Allah honored them. So when you feel the sting of loneliness, remember this. It's not a void. It's a space Allah is protecting until the right person arrives. Better an empty seat at your table than a haram guest who breaks your home. Your test might be long. It might ache. But in that ache, there's also a shield. Every moment you choose sabr over desperation, you're actually proving to Allah that your love for Him is greater than your need for quick comfort. And what comes from that? Reward without measure. And this is where the trap usually begins. You're waiting, you're patient, but then the silence starts to ache. You look around in university, at work, or even just scrolling online. Everyone seems to have someone. Girls your age are posting flowers and dinners. Boys are showing off their relationships. And in that moment, a thought sneaks in. Maybe I'm the strange one. Maybe being alone means I'm less. That's how Shaitan whispers. He doesn't tell you directly, go commit zina. He just plants the seed. At least talk to someone. At least know what it feels like. It's not a big deal. And you tell yourself, it's just texting. It's just a call. It's not haram if we don't meet, right? Then slowly, the line gets thinner. First, it's DM. Then it's late night good nights. Then it's hidden meetups. And every step feels like you're finally filling the gap inside you. But the truth? Every step makes the gap deeper. Because here's the reality no one tells you. Haram relationships don't usually end in marriage. They end in confusion, broken trust, and regret. If someone truly respected you, they wouldn't keep you secret. half loved, half committed. They would come with dignity, with family, with halal intentions. But the culture around you glorifies the opposite. People will clap for you just because you have someone, even if that someone doesn't carry your name with honor. Society tells you, single? That's sad. But what's truly sad is selling your dignity just for the illusion of not being alone. And maybe you've even seen it firsthand. A sister who thought a boyfriend would make her feel wanted, but instead she ended up crying on her prayer mat, wondering why she feels emptier than before. That's the cruel irony. Haram love promises comfort, but delivers anxiety. It promises closeness, but leaves you lonelier than ever. That's why Allah warns, do not even go near zina. Not just don't do it, don't even go near it. Because Allah knows it doesn't start with sin, it starts with whispers. It starts with loneliness. And if you don't guard yourself, that loneliness can push you into a regret you'll carry far longer than you imagined. So ask yourself, what's heavier? To bear the weight of patience for a little while, or to carry the weight of guilt for years? Choosing to stay alone in obedience to Allah isn't weakness, it's courage. Do you realize how strong you have to be to say no when everyone around you is saying yes? To turn down attention when your heart is craving it, just because you fear Allah more than you fear being left out? That's not weakness. That's strength that most people will never taste. Society will try to label you too picky, too religious, boring. But what they call boring, Allah calls dignified. What they call loneliness, Allah calls protection. And on the day of judgment, you won't be asked, why didn't you have someone to text at night? You'll be asked how you guarded your heart, your body, and your soul. Think about Maryam alayhi salam. She was alone. She carried the heaviest test a woman could ever carry. Yet, because she chose dignity over people's opinions, Allah honored her name forever. Even now, every time you read Surah Maryam, you're reminded. Being alone with Allah can raise you higher than being surrounded by the whole world. And if you've ever felt that sting, watching others laugh with their partners while you walk home alone, remind yourself, you're not walking alone. Every step away from haram is a step toward Allah, and the angels write it down as strength. So maybe the world sees you as single, but in reality, you are accompanied by the one who never leaves. And that's a companionship no boyfriend could ever replace. You sit at another wedding. The bride's hand is painted with henna, her smile is glowing, and everyone around her says, "Mashallah, her dua has been accepted." You smile too, but deep inside, a quiet voice whispers, "And what about me?" Later, an auntie leans over and asks casually, "So, when is your turn?" You laugh it off, but the sting stays. Not because marriage itself defines your worth, but because society keeps acting like you are incomplete until you have a ring on your finger. And then there are the proposals. Sometimes they come but don't work out. Sometimes they never come at all. Each time a door closes, you wonder if it's your fault. Maybe you're not pretty enough, not outgoing enough, not perfect enough. Shaitan feeds on that doubt, whispering, "See, even Allah has forgotten you." But here's the truth, Allah never forgets. He says in the Qur'an, perhaps you dislike something, and Allah makes in it much good. What feels like a delay is not rejection, it's redirection. Allah is not depriving you, He is protecting you. Protecting your dignity from people who are not written for you. Protecting your heart from giving itself to the wrong hands. Protecting your future from regrets you can't yet see. And this waiting, as heavy as it feels, is also worship. Every time you lower your gaze, every time you say no to haram shortcuts, every time you place your trust in Allah instead of in desperate options, you are actually building a palace in Jannah. Because patience is not weakness. Patience is strength dressed in silence. But does this mean Islam wants you to stay single forever? No, marriage is sunnah, a path of mercy, companionship, and tranquility. The Prophet ﷺ said, "Marriage is half of faith." That means it's a noble goal. It's something to strive for. But until it arrives in the halal way, your life does not pause. This waiting season is not wasted. It's a time to grow in iman, in skills, in purpose. Maybe Allah is giving you these years to strengthen your relationship with Him before any husband. Maybe He is letting you discover your own value before someone else tells you what you're worth. Because when you know your worth with Allah, no rejection can break you. So when people ask, "Where's your man?" you don't have to shrink. You can stand tall and say, "With Allah is my plan." Because the world's timeline is not your timeline, and the world's approval is not your approval. Your story is not late, it's being written by the one who writes perfectly. And when the time is right, what is written for you will come with ease, with barakah, and with dignity. Until then, you're not just waiting. You are worshiping. You are walking a path guarded by Allah. And that path, even if it feels lonely now, will one day lead you to a love that is pure, halal, and worth every second of patience. And that's the heart of it. Waiting is not emptiness, it's trust. It's you saying, "Ya Allah, I believe what you hold for me is better than what I could chase for myself." So don't measure your worth by who texts you at night, or how many people show interest. Your value is not in a status update. It's in how you guard your iman when temptation surrounds you. One day, what is written will reach you, and when it does, you'll see why every "not yet" was worth it. Until then, keep your head high, your faith firm, and your heart tied to the one who never breaks it. May Allah grant every sister dignity, patience, and strength. May He protect your heart from haram, fill your loneliness with His nearness, and bless you with a halal love that brings peace to your dunya and akhirah. If you feel this dua in your heart, say Ameen in the comments so it reaches more sisters who need this reminder. You made it all the way here, so I know this reminder meant something to you. Support the channel with a quick like, and if you're new here, subscribe so you don't miss the next one. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.